very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And on behalf of Schneider Electric and our partners at Microsoft, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to the audience present with us here today. I hope I'm audible and clear. Okay, looks like I am. I'd like to remind you of a few housekeeping pointers here. Please keep yourself on mute. There is a chat box, and I would urge you to drop your questions or comments on the chat box. We will have Q&As at the end of the sessions, so hold on to them if you wish. Just to introduce myself, my name is Bidisha Nagraj, and I lead the Marketing, Digital and Communication portfolio at Schneider Electric in India. And today we will be talking about the buildings of the future and how they are transitioning from not just being smart, but to being autonomous. Schneider Electric and Microsoft coming together in a webinar? I'm sure that's a question most of you would like to ask. Let me set up the context and the agenda here. We will begin with a virtual fireside chat with two extremely eminent thought leaders in the business, after which we will go over a short presentation on this subject. Before I move on, I would like to put a few thought starters out there. We are living in a fast-changing environment with high degrees of uncertainties. Our requirements are changing, trends are changing, and with that, the way we work is changing. We have technologies like AI, IoT, big data that not only keep us stay connected, but also provide insights and forecasts to help prepare us for these kind of uncertain times and give us the technological advantage needed in this times and in this competitive world. The same goes for the building segment as well. Today and in the coming months and years, remote maintenance has become relevant. A connected facility that can be monitored and analyzed from a remote location gives the owners the insights into their building operations as they need. The power of condition-based maintenance and predictive analysis gives the facility managers the tools needed to ensure operational efficiency without compromising occupant well-being and comfort, even with reduced workforce. Ladies and gentlemen, today's webinar focuses on how Schneider Electric's EcoStruxure open architecture platform with the advisors as the top layer, along with Microsoft Azure Cloud, have come together with a vision to enhance the customer experience and make the buildings not just smart, but autonomous as well. Schneider Electric, being pioneers in the space of energy efficient and sustainable smart buildings, brings in the industry expertise, while Microsoft, being technology leaders, brings the intelligence of digital technologies that provide the base for digital services platform. To talk more on the subject and for this virtual fireside chat, I'm extremely excited to have with us two eminent thought leaders from the industry. Without further ado, let me introduce you to our eminent panelists today. Mr. Anant Maheshwari, President, Microsoft India. Anant leads Microsoft's engagement with policymakers, customers, and business partners, and is responsible for all product, solution, service, and support offerings in India. He works towards making the company's mission of empowering every person in every organization on the planet to achieve more and align with India's inclusive growth agenda. He's committed to supporting government entities and organizations in India progress on their journey of digital. Anant has held senior leadership positions in Honeywell and McKinsey. Our next panelist, Mr. Anil Chaudhary, Zone President, Managing Director, Schneider Electric India. Anil is a power sector veteran with over 3 decades of experience in energy and the infrastructure segment. A strong votary of the usage of technology and smart grid initiatives, Anil brings with him extensive learning of digitization of the power sector. In his over 30 years of experience, Anil has held various leadership positions based out of Europe and India. He champions the cause of energy efficient and green technologies, and besides other achievement, has been conferred with the highest French civilian distinction, Knight of the Legion of Honor, by the President of Republic of France. Thank you, Anand. Thank you, Anil, for being here today. And I'm really looking forward to having a very interesting conversation with the two of you. So let's get cracking with the questions right away. Anand, my first question is to you. In the last few months, we've had to radically change our social behavior. We had to adopt to the new normal in an unprecedented manner. My question is, as a technology leader, how did you and your organization both in terms of meeting the expectations of your employees as well as your customers? I would love to hear your insights, Anil. Over to you.
Thank you, Bidisha. Just checking first if you can hear me clearly.
Yes, all good.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. So first up, great to be on this panel along with Anil. It's fantastic to further the partnership that the two companies have. But just to come back to your question, as you said about the employees and customers, I'll add just one more stakeholder there is the communities that we live in. So at Microsoft, I would say our priority is to ensure the safety of our employees, of course, protect the health and well-being of the communities in which we operate and live, and then also be very focused on providing the digital capability and infrastructure required by our customers to support them and keep them in every phase of this crisis, which I would summarize into three phases, that is respond, rebound, and reimagine. So let me talk about each of these three stakeholders separately. First, let's talk about the employees and how do we empower them. First, I think it's just creating a flexible and an inclusive environment that supports the employees. Each of us have different situations at our own homes as we are operating from home, and being very aware of what those situations could be and being flexible so that everybody can take their own decisions at this time is the start, because I think that empathy is the foundation on which you begin. Tailoring our benefits program then to really support remote work. Everybody needs different kinds of benefits, flexibility. I think and emotional well-being of the employees, and therefore providing tools, providing capabilities that and even resources that they could potentially use at this point is very, very important. And finally, having very open communication, both in one-on-one and one-to-many situations where we can truly understand what's happening. So that's really, I think, the cultural ethos of Microsoft coming together to support the employees. You would notice I didn't talk about the tech because the tech is there, and we would definitely use that in enabling the remote work. Now let's talk about how do we support the front lines and the communities in fighting back against COVID and also supporting them in this crisis. Number one is to help the governments, the healthcare institutions, the educational institutions to continue what they're doing and also be enabled to fight back in this situation. Specifically calling out the institutions where I think it's not just the frontline is being used multiple times, but also the multiple people coming together to support the frontline. And how do you bring data, AI, and other capabilities other than just the remote capabilities to work? Then I think it's supporting nonprofits with very custom solutions. Nonprofits, institutes, and organizations are doing a lot of good work. How do we support them? Helping the small businesses recover with inclusive tech that can enable them very quickly to get back on their feet, because they were not enabled like many of the big companies to start with. And finally, I think it's skilling. What we forget is that it's not so easy for everybody to get on to the platforms and start using them. As in the best example that I think many of us have seen is schools. Neither were the teachers ever trained to do this, and the students were definitely not ready to do something like this. And nobody initially felt that, listen, training was required. So we actually spent a lot of time training teachers. How do you use these platforms to run your classrooms? Finally, let me come to customers, since you focused on that, is how do you enable the work from home and remote capability for all the customers? The productivity has to go up in this time, and that's been our focus. As everybody was working from home, we were enabling it. The data and analytics that you bring in this time to enable companies to use that capability to predict and minimize risk for themselves and their employees. Finally, I think it's really supporting organizations with tools like Microsoft Power Apps, where they can really disseminate information, do the crisis management through those tools. And the bottom line to all of this is security. For us, security, privacy, transparency is inbuilt into our platforms. And as we go along, that trust factor will be very critical as we go forward.
Thanks, Anand. I think that was very, very insightful. And I think you summed it up by saying that respond, rebound, and reimagine is really the cornerstone of the way you're looking at the situation. Thanks for that. I move on to Anil. Anil, the next question is for you. In similar lines of what Anand had to share, with all these very fundamental changes we are living in these days, will be great to hear from you as to how Schneider Electric is looking at making a difference, to its employees, to its customers, and community at large. So, Anil, would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Thank you, Vidisha. First of all, I just wish that all the colleagues and all our partners, customers who are connected on this call are safe and maintaining all those, following all the new norms, as we call it. And some of those have expressed by Anant. So Anant, very happy to share this platform with you. First of all, thank you also as you have shared what you have been doing. And it is true that these have been the times when we have to really invent very fast, and for employees, for customers, and very importantly for communities. Similar to what Ananta said, this has been the priority for us as well. That immediate response to this health crisis was how we can come forward and make sure that we support our employees, we support our customers, and we support our communities. For them to be safe. Second, for them to be continuing doing what they have been doing, probably in a new norm and probably using more and more technologies. And I must say that, this time has really been a time when we have seen that how all these pillars of economy, the employees, the customers, the communities or society, they have reacted also very fast to the new norms. Work from home, because while some of the companies, like we have been practicing it for last few years, but very heartening to see how lot of those our partners, mid, small enterprises, micro enterprises, they have been able to adopt, and they have been able to adopt very strongly with the digitization, enforcing the learning of the employees very fast, enforcing the learning of the partners very fast. And this also has been the time when I see the agility has come to its very much on the forefront on the way teams have been able to react, connect with partners, connect with customers, come on digital webinars. And I must say that when I look at the number of customers we have connected in these time, which goes to more than 25,000 plus, thanks to all the partners, customers who are very receptive of coming on to these new norms, and thanks to also the technologies and Microsoft Teams platform we have been using aggressively, thanks to availability of these technology and the teams coming forward to support us, that this has really accelerated the way training was done, way the digital connect was done, way probably we were interacting with the customer, and it has brought innovation to the forefront. I think this is also the time when companies like us have been also very much connected with the community. At Schneider Electric, we launched, Tomorrow Rising Fund. The objective of this fund is to support communities, and especially those communities which were very much vulnerable to this particular situation. How we can support them, how we can get the youth back to getting on new skills, and how we can also support the all the countries where we have been operating to the different platform which have been created. Like in India, we have contributed to Prime Minister Care Fund. All these are part of the support to the communities. Now, I think this is also the time when we have discovered ourselves. When we started, into this situation. Before that, there could be anything 10 to 20 touch points physical, which our sales team had with our customers. And this particular situation has helped us accelerate digitization of our this journey of customer connect and sales process, both thanks to the platform which are available, thanks to the new training and new ways of working which our teams have been innovating, and more importantly, thanks to our partner, the customer, who have been able to adopt to this particular situation, to engage in a different way, to be really looking at how we can increase the productivity of both our customers as well as our teams. So this has really accelerated the digitization process, which I'm sure not only is improving the productivity now, but going to a long way to define the efficiency and productivity of the whole ecosystem, which is very, very important as we recover from the future. And third, e-commerce platforms. We, as a traditional company, probably we were, compared to the other organization, we were probably not accelerating that. But this situation has helped us to accelerate our e-commerce platform, both from the point of view of adaptation of technology, more and more offers on the e-platform, and also the customers accepting, the traditional engineering customer accepting that as a new norm and coming on our e-commerce platform and taking on. Anant has said very important thing about the partnership. And I think in the testing times like this, when we have seen that different industries have been impacted differently, we have seen, some of the industries like data centers, telecom, healthcare, and some of the energy sector, which have been the backbone of the whole world to go around in these challenging times. These are seen some green shoots, but equally there are industries which have been impacted in this time. Now, it is also the time when we are looking at this that even the society is redefining the partnerships. You have seen how we are behaving when we are moving in our own social network. We want to remain at a distance, while at the same time emotionally very much close. We want to maintain the things which are following the norm. So these are testing times from the partnership. And what stands out on this is the very strong commitment of the organization on the foundations of these partnerships. In our partnership, it is all about the sustainability. It's all about being more efficient. It's all about being responsible to the climate change. And I think this, when in these testing time, we stand on these principles and we strengthen our partnership on that, then the future even looks more brighter. I think our partnership between Microsoft and Schneider Electric has been on these fundamentals, which has tested us in this challenging time. And I'm sure going forward, we believe at Schneider Electric that this partnership is going to be strengthening more, and with our partnership coming in together with more and more the efforts coming from Microsoft, the efforts coming from Schneider, we will able to create much bigger values to our partners and customers as we move on. And we believe in that this kind of partnership bring in much more resilience in our approach to customers, in our offering to customers, and also help the customer to increase the productivity and efficiency of their own business, and thus brings in a very strong network of partnership standing on these fundamentals. So again, very much committed for this partnership, and very much working together to ensure all our customers and partners are able to get the bigger benefit for their end customer, for their business, coming out of these situations when we become more and more resilient, more efficient, and more responsible.
Thank you, Anil. I think that was very well said. I think Anand spoke about respond, rebound, and reimagine. And I think you added two more R's to that, which is resilience and responsible. So I think this was a very, very good insight from both of you, where we've covered what the marching orders should be at this current times. Anand, my next question is for you, which is really a question about trust. As we know that organizations must make and have had to make every effort to regain the trust and ensure that co-workers and customers not only feel safe on company premises, but also feel comfortable and confident to be at workspaces. How do you think using technology levers will, make managing this entire situation effective. So your thoughts on that, Anand?
So I'm really passionate about this subject and I've spoken enough about it. And I think it's very, very important. It's a defining change of our times that's happening in front of us at this point. I'll refer to it a little bit and I'm going to build on that. I think COVID has led to very large scale transformations in this world of remote everything, and people are coming together. They're not completely sure in what they can trust, who they can trust, how they can trust, and therefore all of that is kind of coming together. Let me just unravel this whole trust question into maybe three types of trusts that I think will play out. Number one is the trust for individuals, people. It's person centric. Their own trust to be safe and secure, their own ability to trust what they're doing in any kind of work that they're going through. The second is the trust for data and digital ecosystems that a number of them are using today and the companies are providing. Even the government is getting involved in providing many of those ecosystems. So really figuring out the security, privacy, transparency in those ecosystems. And the third kind of trust is really even for businesses to work with each other. If I go back 4 months, the big deals had to be struck by people shaking hands. And now you're doing virtual handshakes, you're doing virtual signing of agreements. You don't even get to meet somebody before you sign a big business deal. And therefore, how do businesses trust each other through this time? That's a different level of trust that we are talking about. So building very strong measures to protect the cybersecurity, privacy, the digital safety will be very crucial in creating these trusted ecosystems. And what does that mean? It's really interactive, secure technologies that you will need for everybody for health and safety at work. And Microsoft and Schneider Electric are helping businesses to stay responsive and responsible and adaptable to this change. We are specifically helping the digital capability for multiple ecosystems and companies to create that safe workspace. Even in that, the one platform that I would call out is Power Platform. It's a simple ability for anybody to create a very simple app, and many companies have done that to do their crisis management and bring that capability to track safety. I'll give you just one example. You're going to office, you're going back to your workplace. You need first just an app even to figure out, is it safe? Do I want to go? What's happening there? And some information about yourself to say, I'm safe, that it's okay for me to come in. On the other side of the same app is the institutional apparatus, which is also kind of figuring out, so is it okay for this person to come in, and is it okay that this person comes in and we are not creating any risk here for this person to not remain safe. So it works both ways. The equation is working both ways, from the personal individual side and the institutional side. And finally, when the person is inside the facility, you need companionship. You're going to the cafeteria, you're going to the restroom, you're going to a printer, and so on. And there's multiple facilities that you use inside that facility. And therefore, how do you trust every moment that you're spending inside the facility? So trust is multiple dimensions that we can work through.
Thanks, Anant. That was indeed quite insightful. And my next question is actually to both of you, Anant and Anil. Talking about trust, I think we've built a partnership together, Microsoft and Schneider, on the basis of trust. And in this specific context, we are coming together in a big way, etc. What does this partnership really mean? How can, if I were a customer, how can the customers and organizations benefit from this association of Microsoft and Schneider? Would love to hear your thoughts, and I'm sure everybody in the audience would like to hear your thoughts as well. So Anant, we'll go with you. You tell us your thoughts of what this partnership means to you, and then we'll move to Anil.
So first up, it is a very, very deep partnership between the two companies over 3 decades, and it's created distinctive value. And we bring very different capabilities to the table together, and then create value for the entire ecosystems that we operate in. I was just resonating with the passion with which Anil spoke about sustainability, and I think that is the one of the foundational cornerstones of our partnership, because we truly share that desire to co-innovate and to create breakthrough solutions to really address these sustainability challenges. Anil also spoke about digital transformation earlier. I think harnessing the power of big data, artificial intelligence, IoT, especially with a lot of work that Schneider is doing in machine learning to transform both businesses and also to solve customer problems at scale. So what does that really mean? I think in the digital solutions, all the data coming from different sensors at different points, coming together to getting stored, processed, analyzed in Azure, and then creating actionable outcomes, which can then be used by all the technologies to get some real-time visibility, real-time actions, and for efficiency and security. Now, that's something in buildings that's very, very critical. So I think we bring the merging of the two worlds that are needed to make the buildings safe and secure and green. And finally, if I talk about the data and cloud capabilities that are coming together from Microsoft, working together with the insights and experience of Schneider, you can really make the future digital, remote, and connected. And I'll close with an example. Capgemini in India is a great example of a large-scale organization that is leveraging the smart building solutions from the Schneider Electric and Microsoft combination to truly digitally transform their business and the way they work. So it's always best to look at it from the eyes of a customer.
Thanks, Anant. Yeah, I agree with you. I think Capgemini is a great example of instantiation of what you just spoke about. Anil, what are your thoughts in this about the partnership between the two big giants coming together?
No, thank you. And I fully endorse what Ananta said, because as I said, all the partnership is on fundamental principles and vision which we have. And both the organization are very strongly following that. We talked about sustainability, climate, customer interaction, digitization, all these are there. Now, when we look from the point of view of how we are bringing this together to, bring really value to our customers, especially in buildings, the Schneider Electric EcoStruxure platform and Microsoft Azure, we are bringing in solutions to our buildings and commercial real estate partners, customers, to bring in real time the data, not only the data, but data following strictest norms of cyber security and providing services, which becomes very important and crucial when you have to manage remotely your building. So what does it mean? First, as Anant has also explained, because today the building, stakeholders, the owners, real estate operators, real estate managers, the operators of the building, and more importantly, the occupants of the building, they want the real-time data on occupancies. Everybody want to monitor their space, how they are, helping us to reduce the inefficiencies of the building, and how they are probably able to put in probably the best utilization of the building. All this is in keeping in view that enhanced health, safety, and security norms, which are the need of the hour. And all that is to make sure that this is available to all the stakeholders in the forms they want, and every stakeholder will need the data in different form. These platforms, both our Schneider Electric EcoStruxure and Microsoft Azure, provide that kind of foundation to bring that data to in the hands of all these stakeholders. Second, I think what is also important, that this real-time interaction should help the organizations to manage their buildings, more importantly from the point of view of energy usages. How they are contributing to the important cause of sustainability, climate, tracking carbon emissions, how the renewable energy is being used, and to the honors, how those credits are being used, and overall, making sure that all the data is available to ensure that they are able to publish, they are able to probably visualize, they are able to track the overall impact on the efficiency of the building, which is, as we all seen, the COVID has also told us how much it is important for all of us to be responsible to the overall environment, to overall climate, overall sustainability, and that's what everyone will like to contribute, and to know that how they are contributing while they are running their businesses. And most importantly is now, when most and most buildings will be remotely managed, remotely controlled, how we can diagnose it in the real time, how we can make it much more predictive rather than preventive actions. And this is something which these now new technologies, these platforms will be giving, and probably this is more and more ask will be coming in. We have seen that whenever we have digitize a building, whether it's a residential building, a commercial building, or bringing in all these facilities, bringing in more and more monitoring, bringing more and more analysis, and intelligence into the building to make it much more sustainable and much more forward looking. We have seen that there is always a overall impact on efficiency, anything between 10% to 30%, and that is what will be very, very important for future stakeholders of these buildings. And thanks to this two platform, EcoStruxure Buildings and Microsoft Azure platform, which provide us the core of the technology to get all those data which is required for the various stakeholders and present it in the form which the different stakeholders want it, and we can provide it efficiently. We can provide it in a predictive form rather than in a preventive form, and we can use this data to ensure that the buildings of the future are designed keeping in all the analysis which we are bringing in future.
Thank you, Anil. I think indeed Schneider Electric's EcoStruxure for buildings and Microsoft's Azure together is definitely going to make buildings smart to autonomous, and I think it's an absolute win-win for all of all our customers, going forward. So thank you for that, Anil. My last question is indeed to you. Commercial building owners, developers have a huge responsibility to help their customers regain trust on the infrastructure, something that Anant spoke about earlier. Things like enabling business continuity without compromising on well-being are really the new order of the day. The question is, how will the adoption of digitization and new digital technology help in achieving this?
Yeah, I think Anand said, and I emphasized on that, the experience of the occupants is going to be a very prime factor, the way the future of the buildings will be looked at. Let's, and this is experience is all about trust. We see it in our normal life. You have, engaged with some vendor in your personal relationship, or in personal dealings, or in when we are dealing officially. How much trust we have on that, which comes from the point of view of that how they have been able to give us a very great experience. Now, when we talk of the buildings of the future, imagine that as an employee, if I'm coming to a building, and as we are in this situation, we want more and more contactless operation. I should be able to, enter the building. I should be able to enter the, lift contactless, and I should not be touching any points to make me feel safe, make me feel that this building is very much aligned with all the norms which are required to manage the current situation. And also, I am able to manage my space myself. I'm able to book the space, I move on. And then said, as I'm moving within my space, I should be able to visualize how much I can, where I can go, when can I go into the canteen, when I go into the common areas and all, because I can get the visualizations that I will be able to follow the distancing, social distancing. I'll be able to follow all the SOPs which have been put in place. I think these are the future buildings which have to put a lot of emphasis on well-being of the occupants. And this, when we look at this, how this can be brought in, this is the technology. This is the way we will adopt all that platform, all the technology, on one side, experience of all these intelligence which is available on the various devices which we use today, and the other side, intelligence with the core management of the technologies which make these buildings operate. When we are able to bring these together on a common platform, we can give them a seamless experience of being confident and being trustworthy of all that building which they, or space which they are using it. Now, when I look at this, some of those things which are very important is first all these the way we move into the building, the way we occupy the building, the way we use building. Behind that is very strong factors of the infrastructure which creates this, and I will put the energy and the asset management in the building is a very important pillar of that. I will say the overall when we look at the operations. Today, we will see sometime we have a silo part still in the buildings for the operation point of view, how we are making it a unified operation, how we are making it an integrated operation, thanks to this technological integration. And more importantly, also, it all has to start from the point how we are using the real-time data and from the past experiences, using it for the future building design and designing the buildings, which are, I will say, I will more smarter. We call it autonomous building because we have been always talking of the smart building, and now we are going into the next phase of the smarter. And all this time we'll have to keep in view that how this experience which we have been taking from the way we have been using building, the data which we are connecting, analytics on that, algorithms of those data, how at different parts of the way the buildings are used, how that data is used, so that we can really bring in the capability where we can monitor these buildings 24/7 remotely. We can have this building contactless. We can bring in the well-being of the occupants of these buildings, give all that data to them so that they can themselves monitor it and feel confident. These are some of the characteristics which are there for autonomous building. Now, the good part is that with two large organizations like Schneider Electric and Microsoft, which have been forefront of the digitization of their respective part, Microsoft bringing in digital platform, we have driven all the digitization processes of the infrastructure of buildings, infrastructure, and any industry factor with our EcoStruxure platform. When we bring in together, we can make sure that all the occupants, the stakeholders, and the customers can count on us that we provide you a technology, we provide you a solution, we provide you a platform which can keep your building, be ready for future, be autonomous, and we bring in extra value to you through the trust which your customer bring in these technologies. So that's how we have to look the future of the buildings and the future of autonomous buildings as we move forward.
Thank you, Anil, and thank you,
Disha, I'll
Anil.
have to drop off. I know I'm running very late because
Okay.
I was supposed to start another event at 11:30.
No problem, Anand. Thank you very much for all your insights and great having you here. And
Thank you so much. Thank you, Anil.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So, folks, what we will do is we will continue with the session. We have two very strong presentations ahead of us, and we will do the Q&A right in the end. So keep your questions flowing. Just in case there are some questions we can't answer because of paucity of time, we will definitely respond to you by email. Yeah. So Anil, thank you very much, for your great insights, and I agree with you that both the companies coming together will actually help us make buildings truly autonomous and look at all the future issues that we are looking at. So with that, I now pass it on. I have great privilege in getting two thought leaders again from Microsoft and Schneider Electric, who will actually walk us through a presentation to talk about the subject in specificity. I have great pleasure in welcoming Mr. Guillaume Estegessi, who is the worldwide lead smart places and smart buildings for Microsoft. And we have Mr. Sanjay Sudhakaran, who is the Vice President of Digital Energy. So welcome, gentlemen, and we are looking forward to your deep dive presentations for the next 20 minutes. Over to you.
Thank you, Vidisha. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, all good.
Okay, so I think we are running a little bit behind schedule, but I'll try and make up for that. So what we're talking about right now is that we have been doing smart buildings for quite some time, over a decade, I think probably by now. How do we move from that situation to a smart building to an autonomous building? So let's go on to the next slide, okay? So some of these trends, I will not go into too much of detail. All of you know about it. You have heard of it many times. Globalization, we are building probably one Hong Kong every 8 weeks today, and it will continue to be in the future. We have a lot of risk around cybersecurity as we are going more and more digital. 67% of the CEOs have put digital as one of the top three strategy agendas that they have. So we are going to have more and more IoT and more digital. Uh, Buildings consume more than 40% of the global electricity consumption. So it's going to be a huge energy guzzler. And we all know that smart, efficient green buildings command 7% more premium over traditional buildings. So I think sustainability is definitely on the agenda. One point which I'd like to highlight more here is the war for talent, I think. We spend probably 1 rupee on rentals, I would say, as an example. We spend almost 3 rupees trying to maintain those premises, and we probably staff them with almost 10 times of that, almost 300 rupees we spend on the employees that we have in those premises. So human capital is the most important element, and well-being of that human resources is one of the topmost agendas that we have today in front of us, and that's going to be a bigger and bigger trend. So believe it or not, well-being is going to be a subject by itself, as important as digitization. With that, let me go over to the next slide. So what have we done in the past decade? We have done a lot of stuff in the past decade to make our buildings more intelligent. We have put in discrete systems which may or may not talk to each other, a lot of IoT devices, a lot of softwares, a lot of data, because we felt that data is the crux to solve our problem. Data is the need to solve our problem. Here, I would like to invite my friend Guillaume from Microsoft to share his views also on this subject. Guillaume, over to you.
Thank you, Sanjay. Can you hear me okay?
Very well.
All right, thank you. Yeah, so I think this, you outlined that very well. I think, what we're seeing right now on the screen is just probably a broader subset of all the scenarios that we can attach to now smart buildings, and of course, if you extend this to a smart precinct or a smart city. It's staggering to me that we even recently worked with a customer that had about 110 scenarios, and when that building went live, that building generates terabytes of data daily. And so if you look at all of this, and the scenarios keep building on top of each other, you realize that, and if you go to the next slide, I think will be very clear, is that the data potential data chaos that will result of this is going to be a determining factor, right? Whether you can make sense of the data, in which case you need as much data as possible, and if you cannot make sense of the data, then of course it's simply there has no value. And in fact, we see that, and I'm sure all across the industry, where sometimes you go on board a building and they have, say, data from a BMS, right? But unfortunately, it was never structured, and it's not very usable. And so I think the important thing is what do we do with all the data? How can we process the data? How can we make sense of it in a way that will turn it into actions? So if you go to the next slide, I think the answer of all of that is really centered around cloud. And that's because with this amount of data you're going to get from a building, there is no way human processing is going to be able to do anything with it. And there is very little chance that on-premise processing will work for some scenarios, but will be very limiting moving forward, right? A lot of times customers ask, well, how can I future-proof my building, right? Well, you don't future-proof the structure, you don't future-proof the IoT devices and sensors, but what you future-proof is your platform. What you future-proof is your architecture. And so, this will continue to evolve. As a cloud provider, we make sure that our services constantly evolve. So if you look at AI and machine learning and big data, which are outlined here, all that we provide keeps getting better and better and better, and new service will be added. So when you do a smart building or smart buildings project, and with with our partners like Schneider, the solutions will keep getting better, as you move forward, and that's how you sort of future-proof, your buildings. I think that's a point that is often asked, and I thought was interesting to lean in. And so cloud, it's not a question of cloud or it's you cannot do this kind of compute here without cloud power, right? And with that comes the responsibility to have a very, very secure environment, right? So cybersecurity is at the core and center of it, whether you're securing your IoT device at the device level, but of course you're securing the entire communication, from the device to the cloud. Some building information you would say is not really critical. Bunch of temperature and and similar type of data isn't really something that is worth having a high level of protection. But now we're getting into scenarios that touch people, and then that really implies that your platform should be secure from end to end. So in our partnership, I think that's one of the big elements is that cybersecurity. So I think I will, at that point, hand it over to Sanjay again, who's going to explain, well, it's cloud, but what are the solutions doing using cloud? And I think that's we're getting into the Schneider specific solution. So Sanjay, back to you.
Thank you, Guillaume. And we go over to the next slide. Okay, now here is what we have on offer, which is a little bit different from the traditional building management systems. We have a host of advisory services, which is like the building advisor, the power advisor, the workplace advisor, the asset advisor, and the resource advisors. These are all cloud-based advisory services, all hooked up to a service bureau in Bangalore, combining artificial intelligence of machine with the knowledge of human intelligence, backed by data scientists. Close to 30,000 assets being monitored across the globe, 1,000 sites across 19 countries. This is the kind of infrastructure that Schneider has developed locally in India to serve the globe. And we would like to present three of these advisors, the building advisor, the power advisor, and workplace advisor, in a little more detail as we go forward. Anybody who's interested in the rest of the offers can obviously connect with us and get hold of the rest of the stuff that they need to know. But we'll give you a high level picture of three advisors to start with. Go over to the next slide, please. So building advisor is the artificial intelligence for a traditional BMS system. The traditional BMS system, what it does is it gives you a lot of alarms. It leaves it to the operator of the BMS system or a host of technicians at site to solve the HVAC related problems in whichever priority they feel convenient about. What this advisory service does is, using 800 plus algorithms, it gives you a dashboard which says that, hey, go and solve this problem first and solve this problem second and this problem third. And this is the kind of savings or additional comfort that you will generate for your occupants in the descending order of priority. So it helps you prioritize. It helps you cut the clutter of the data or the data chaos which Guillaume spoke about. So this is an artificial intelligence for your BMS system, which really allows you to bring in productivity. So what's in it for the end user? The end user's comfort goes up, his costs come down, and his uptime goes up. What is in it for the service provider, say an HVAC servicing agency? For him, the costs go down because you can use more of predictive analysis to make sure that the chiller compressor or the AHU motor does not burn out. Okay, and what's in it for Schneider? Schneider is obviously a global leader in analytics on the cloud. So what we do is that we have these assets under maintenance under a subscription model, which allows you to spend money as you save. So it's not a capital intensive model, it's an OPEX intensive model. So with a predefined ROI. Now let's go on to the next advisory model that we have, that is called as the power advisor. Now we know that we have been chasing efficiency in buildings for a very long time till now. So we have invented LEDs, we have invented variable frequency drive, and all these non-linear loads, what they do is they add to your harmonics of the building. Harmonics is a silent killer. Just like blood pressure and diabetes are lifestyle diseases which are silent killers, harmonics is a silent killer. You do not know where they crop up and what they do to your body. Okay, so what these harmonics do to your electrical system is hidden. They reduce the life of your electrical equipment, they reduce the uptime, they create distortion in your systems, and at the end of the day, what you're left with is an inefficient building which does not meet up to your standards. So real-time analytics make sure that all your electrical assets are monitored and you get a prioritization as to what you need to do first and what you need to do next. Let's go on to the next one, which is the workplace advisor combined with the Engage app. We spoke about well-being. Now, did you know that 40% of your employees spend at least 30 minutes a day trying to find a meeting room? That's bad. That's lack of productivity. 1% increase in productivity of human capital can actually pay for all your energy bills. That is a staggering amount of savings that productivity of employees generate. So here is a program, or here is a analytics which helps people find conference rooms, navigate through offices, through maps, find things easily, make sure that there's the right CO2 maintained, the toxicity level in the air is good enough and not harmful to the employees. How can we maintain social distancing? Which areas are a little more crowded than the other areas, which need to be sanitized, which are all very important in today's world as we go through this pandemic. How can we maintain a certain defined threshold of social distancing within offices? How can we assign hot desks? In what priority do we assign them, etc. Everything can be done through this particular advisor. And also, along with the Engage app, a lot of other services like finding the right food in the canteen to your bus services, everything can be integrated. So employee well-being is at the heart of this advisory service. Going on to the next slide, to be very short, I'd like to talk about one of our esteemed customers, Capgemini, which both Anil and Anand spoke about in the beginning, and how they have leveraged all these analytics and all these cloud-based platforms into their central command center at Bangalore to monitor their assets worldwide and give them both productivity of building operations, well-being, and operational efficiency. With that, I come to the end of the presentations, and over to you, Bidisha, once again.
Thank you, Guillaume. Thank you, Sanjay. I think the first 20 minutes was about setting the context of our partnerships, and I think this was really good because we went a couple of levels down and talking about really the solutions and the products that are there as two companies. So we have, we'd like to now open it up for Q&A. I'm requesting my colleague Amit to curate some of the questions, and I believe I have the first question, which I'm going to. I think this can be for both Sanjay and for Guillaume. The question is, from your experience in the industry so far with customers, what do you think are some of the most important factors when considering the implementation of smart and autonomous building solutions? Guillaume and Sanjay, you all can maybe take turns to go over it.
Sure. Okay, I'll go first, and then I'll let Sanjay comment. From my point of view, I think what's very important is one of the probably common mistake that have been seeing is trying to lead with technology. Right? You can't. It really, when you're trying to implement smart buildings solution, it has to be driven by business. Now, this isn't a technology exercise. This should not be driven by an IT department because they have budget to buy IoT devices. This should be fundamentally a business decision, whether it's around sustainability, whether it's around employee productivity. But you need to have a business decision maker. This needs to be a business driver, and any smart building solution you want to implement has to have a business rationale. It seems obvious, but in many cases, it's customer will come and will ask Microsoft or Schneider, what can your technology do for me? That is the wrong question. It's what do you want to do mostly for the people? What do you want to do in sustainability? What do you want to do in terms of the experience of the people that will walk in and out of your building? What do you want to achieve? What is your mission? What is your vision? And I think it's very important to recenter the question around this rather than having endless technology discussions, because it will always change.
Right, thanks. I think thanks, Guillaume. I think the next question, Sanjay, you'll probably be able to give us some insights on this. And the question is, looking at the present pandemic situation that we have, how do you think technologies can contribute in this building space, and how easy or difficult it is to deploy these solutions?
So I think, Bidisha, I think we are learning more and more during this pandemic how to do this better. If you really see, it's all about how to troubleshoot your building, right? How to troubleshoot your building without actually dispatching somebody. So what,
sorry, Sanjay, can I please request everybody to go on mute except Sanjay and Guillaume? Thank you.
मेरे को लगा physics वाली थी.
Okay, I think I'm not sure who it is, but you need to please keep yourself on mute.
Someone's talking of physics to give a cue. Okay. So I think it's all about not dispatching people. So, for example, we are always tempted to say that, hey, even in your house, if the electrical system is not working, we're tempted to say that, hey, why don't we call the electrician and let him figure out what needs to be done? The whole thing about contactless maintenance and intelligent facility management is all about not getting people into the building unnecessarily. So that's what the building advisor does, right? It solves 80% of the building issues remotely without having to dispatch a technician. So that's what we need to do. Many of the times it's false alarm. Many of the times it can be fixed by the people who are already there in the building. So you really need not dispatch somebody. So that brings down your cost, improves your productivity, and also adds to contactless maintenance.
Thanks, thanks, Sanjay, and thanks, Guillaume. I think we are on top of the hour. I think to just be sensitive to everybody's time who's joined in. I'll keep your questions coming. Like I said, we will try our best to respond to you on email. But for this session, I think we're done with Q&A. Any last thoughts, Sanjay? Any last thoughts, Guillaume, before we wrap it up?
I'll let Sanjay go first this time.
Yeah, I think it's all about running. If I were a facilities director of a corporation, I would say that how can I run my building from Starbucks? That's all that I have to say about contactless maintenance and intelligent and autonomous buildings.
I think that's very true. I think I think to me, what was before COVID, what was something that was meant to optimize facilities management and remote management, which is still true, has now become more of an imperative. So I think hopefully and more of these facilities managers are going to look into that, you can address some of the post-COVID situation as well as running your FM operations in a very, very optimized way. So I think it benefits everybody.
Thank you very much, Sanjay and Guillaume. It was indeed a pleasure to host this webinar. I think between Anil and Anand, just to wrap up, they spoke about how businesses can get into the mode of respond, rebound, reimagine, be responsible and be resilient. And I think Guillaume and Sanjay very effectively spoke about how remote maintenance is really the order of the day. And I like what Sanjay said, that sit in a Starbucks, sip a cup of cappuccino, and run your building. It's as easy as that. So thank you. I really enjoyed hosting this. I know there are lots and lots of questions coming in, but we can't answer all of them right now. But like I said, please send them to us and we will definitely get back to you. Thank you very much for attending this webinar or this fireside chat. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.